This episode is brought to you by TurboTax. TurboTax experts make all your moves count. Filing with 100% accuracy and getting your max refund guaranteed. So whether you started a podcast like this one, side hustled your way to concert tickets, or quit your job to stream video games online full-time, switch to TurboTax and make your moves count. See guarantee details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
Folks, how are you doing? I'm so pleased to meet you. Adam, Scott, and I are dying to greet you. This is a movie that I chose to pick. I fucking love this movie. Adam and Scott hated it. Heidi, 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 hi.
Heidi, 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 hi.
Hody, hody, ho.
Hody, 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 ho.
Heedy, heedy, hi. It's horror movie night.
No, I hate this movie. I hate you.
So, I picked the movie Forbidden Zone.
I'm never going to forgive you for this.
So, side note, the first thing that I have on my list of notes is this is a waste of time to discuss the plot for this because there is no story. I'm trying to think the best way to talk about this movie.
Not.
So, my first experience being in any type of movie club or movie podcast was years ago with the Geekscape Movie Club. And this was a movie that was picked by a person, Matt, who occasionally posts on our Facebook page, Matt MacGyver. So he posted this movie, and the hosts of the show hated it. They thought it was this racist, offensive, terrible movie. And I was the only person who was like, no, man, I fucking love this movie. And I went out and bought it immediately and would watch it with people constantly. And a lot of friendships would end over this movie sometimes.
Well, you just lost 2 more, so thanks.
So the thing with this movie is that, look,
Terrible.
I get why people think it's racist. Because it is. It's a racist movie. But it's a racist movie in the sense that it is trying to be this huge homage to vaudeville and, blackface and jive talk and all that was elements of vaudeville. That is what it was trying to do.
Doesn't make it okay at all.
No, I'm not saying it makes it okay. I'm just saying that was what it was going for. I love this movie. I love the music. I love the sets. I love the cinematography. I love that it's a throwback to vaudeville. I like that it's so bizarre. And I like that this is apparently what Oingo Boingo was before Danny Elfman took them into full new wave style. This is the representation of what the 70s Oingo Boingo was.
Right.
It's crazy. It's got a weird cast featuring fucking Tattoo from Fantasy Island.
Love Fantasy Island, yeah.
Some chick from the Andy Warhol world, the main killer from Maniac, and the Kipper kids appear in the movie. There's so many strange things that happen in this film for no reason. And that's what I really enjoy about this movie. But the film is borderline plotless. It's just the simple concept of, hey, there's this portal to hell in this basement, and at some point every character ends up in hell, and they're trying to get out of there. And that's all that's there.
It's like a sketch comedy movie, almost, where you're just lining up new scenarios for these people to interact with. And then it's I guess it's trying to be funny. At no point did I really there was one part where sometimes when Tattoo and the Queen would be talking, she'd just call him a fuck. She'd be like, "Yeah, fuck," and I thought that was funny.
Well, there's a great reference to the way you think.
Yeah. If I had to describe it, it's like the members of Devo were on a crazy drug binge, and they all put on Nintendo Power Gloves, and then wrote this fucking movie. Like, that's the kind of people that I think, like, that's Danny Elfman's crowd at this time in his life, though, right? Like, he's going out and seeing, like, Adam and His Machine and shit like that, and they're all just tripping fucking balls and, like...
Danny Elfman had just joined the band at the time that they made this movie.
Oh, I thought I thought Oingo Boingo was always Danny Elfman.
No, it was his brother Richard and Matt Bright. Those two guys ran Oingo Boingo, and they were like a big show that you would go and see, like this 2-hour-long show with elaborate costumes and all this crazy stuff. And Richard wanted to be a director, so he was like, "Look, I'm going to put this band on hold and focus on directing," but he wanted to capture like what the live experience of the band was in a movie as like his first film, and then handed the band off to his younger brother Danny, who was way more into like what was going on with like synth music. So he did this movie, but then moved away from doing the cabaret stuff and started just doing new wave music with Oingo Boingo.
Which is why Oingo Boingo is actually good.
Yeah, they're fucking great. Matthew Bright also went on to direct a bunch of movies, including the movie Freeway with Reese Witherspoon and Keith Sutherland, where it's like a retelling of Little Red...
It's Red Riding Hood, right?
Yeah.
Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah, Kiefer Sutherland. Sorry, yeah. It's like a weird, demented retelling of Little Red Riding Hood, but like done as a crime film. It's a fucking weird movie, but it's not a terrible movie. He also did the movie Tiptoes, where Gary Oldman plays a midget. So when you think about the movie Tiptoes, just remember that Squeeze It the Moocher was the guy behind the camera directing everything. And Squeeze It is my favorite character in the movie because he's just so dementedly, like, he is like the fucking Charlie Brown of this movie. Like, he's just this pathetic, mocked, awful person throughout the whole movie. There's that weird scene where his mom and dad, like, his mom comes home with a sailor and they're like pouring alcohol on him and making him cluck like a chicken. And he talks about having a connection with his transgender sister because when he gets beaten by his mother, he has visions of her. Like, it's fucking weird. It's a weird fucking movie. And Squeeze It is like arguably the weirdest character in the movie, but that's hard to say.
Hey, so one thing about that part that I want to mention is that basically, just like this movie, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, this movie's absolute garbage, Matt, and you really need to rethink your life decisions.
Well, listen, I didn't hate this movie because it's got a lot of stuff in it that I like, and I love the fucking main song. I love Forbidden Zone. That's a great fucking song.
Which later became the theme song to the Dilbert cartoon.
Yeah, Dilbert. Yeah, that's
What?
a weird one.
Yeah, when Danny Elfman was asked to do the Dilbert cartoon series, he just gave them the instrumental version of the Forbidden Zone theme.
Wow.
It's got weird. A lot of. It's like I don't know, like that main. In like the introduction where we meet the queen and the frog head comes running in and he just like throws out his arms and he's like ta-da, and it like zooms back and there's like naked women on a spigot and there's like everybody's getting all like fucked up and like whipped and like she's just like sitting there like la da 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 enjoying her surroundings. Like I like that, and like, but man, there's just so much that I don't like about it too. Like everything in the classroom, or like when the one guy and the grandpa finally make it into the Forbidden Zone, and then they just go on a fucking rape spree where they're just raping everyone that they encounter. It's like, what the fuck, man?
This is not my cup of tea. I feel like this movie really is way worse than Matt realizes.
No, I realize that it is an awful movie, but that's fine. I don't care. I like the human chandelier. I like that there's just a random person who's like tied to the ceiling holding candles. And then there's like the weird queen and king having sex, and then all of a sudden it cuts back, and it's just the skeleton hanging up on the where the chandelier was. Like he's just fucking died up there. I don't know. It's just such a bizarre movie, and it's such a bizarre concept. And I don't know. I don't even mind the scenes in the classroom that much. I like how fucking weird the alphabet song is. I think fucking Frenchie's adorable. I think Frenchie is absolutely adorable. And my favorite song is Squeeze It the Moocher. I love Danny Elfman's version of Minnie the Moocher in this film. And his version of the devil, the way that he looks. And it's kind of weird hearing like weird elements of what would be future Danny Elfman scores throughout the movie. Like there's these weird points where there's just musical interludes and you're like, that kind of actually sounds like part of the Batman soundtrack is just kind of placed in the background. Like there was all these weird ideas floating in Danny Elfman's head, like as a composer that he was mixing into the background of this film?
I don't know, Matt. I'm rereading what I wrote in my notes, and I'm still very unhappy with you. You can try and justify this pick and the awful shit that happens in this movie all day long, but it's not good. It's also not horror. Like, it's horrifyingly bad, but it's not horror. I think this is a bad pick, and I think that you should feel bad about it.
Nope, I will not ever feel bad about it, so I'm going to keep on moving on and trucking with a smile. So...
Hey, Matt, remember how you were gloating about picking such great movies after we had, like, a bumper amount of listens to The Brain? You don't get to do that for a while now, okay?
Nope, that's fine.
You guys say that this movie is like racist and all that stuff, but I think it's really inclusive because it literally runs the gambit of every type of nipple I've ever seen in my entire life. We get like big puffy nipples, we get little itty bitty nipples, we get big old pancake nipples. Like, there's every type of nipple in this movie, and I think it's nice that they're very inclusive about that.
Adam, I hate to break it to you, but they were at trauma level desperate when they were trying to find women to be naked in this movie.
Yeah, that's true.
Hey, I remember what I was going to say earlier. The Minnie the Moocher, or whatever the hell that character's name is, how he had to cluck like a chicken. I watched this relatively soon after watching Luther the Geek, and I was like, they did it better than Luther the Geek. And also, the reason that I remembered it right now was because the version of Luther the Geek that I watched it had Lloyd Kaufman introducing Luther the Geek before it, because like whatever rip that it was, because they're all on YouTube, whatever rip it was, had this weird promo in front of it where these really sad looking half naked women are like making fun of the IT department at Troma. No, I'm not even kidding. This is what was happening. And Lloyd Kaufman is just a creepy old man. I never realized it. Like, I knew that he was in charge of Troma, but I always thought he was kind of like above it. And no, he's just as pervy as everybody else there. So, I had a real bad week and a half there.
And they're currently working on a sequel to Forbidden Zone, The Forbidden Galaxy. So,
whatever. I'm sure that's been going on for 30 fucking years. They've been working on that.
Well, apparently the sci-fi reality series Monster Man, one of the plot points was Elfman getting the aid of some of the effects guys to create some of the characters for the Forbidden Zone 2, The Forbidden Galaxy. So who knows what will happen with that. They've been talking about doing that sequel for like you said, like 20 years now. But one day, maybe, I'll be happy. No one else will be, but I'll be like, yay, it's back. Did he ever make anything else? What the fuck else did he do? Like, I'm checking to see if this was the only movie that he successfully went off to make. Yeah, no, that's about it.
Yeah, I feel like this is kind of career suicide. No matter what you think about this film, I'm pretty sure this is career suicide.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge cult film, but that doesn't really mean, that doesn't pay the bills.
That doesn't do jack shit.
Yeah, you can be a cult sensation all you want. It doesn't mean that you're living free to do whatever you want from that point.
Yeah, just because you're a cult film doesn't mean Divine doesn't sit down and scoop up dog shit and put it in her mouth at the end of the movie. It's still a shitty fucking movie. Like.
Well, I do love Pink Flamingos as well, so maybe that's...
I fucking love Pink Flamingos. I would have rather watched a man open his gaping asshole and close it for 5 minutes
to
in fucking
bird.
Pink Flamingos.
Wait, is that... I've never watched that movie, and you're not really selling it for me right now, but I just... does that happen in that film?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
There's a solid
Really?
minute where a guy takes off his pants, bends over, peels apart his his butt cheeks, and then to the song Surfing Bird lets his butthole pop in and out to the mouth part.
It's like undulates his asshole for 3-4 minutes.
Oh my god!
The best thing,
Surfing Bird.
well, no, just for the Papa Uma Mau Mau part at the end of it. The best part about that is I'm not sure if you've ever watched the John Waters live special, This Filthy World, but he tells a story about how the guy who did that for the movie, one of his greatest pleasures in life was that he would go to see screenings of Pink Flamingos and sit directly next to somebody, and right when that scene would come on, he'd nudge him and go, "That's me up there."
You got to be proud of your work.
So, it's obviously my hope that this would at least be a discussion worthy of an episode seems to have been a total failure, as Scott and Adam have pointed out, which is a shame because I do think that there's just so much weirdness in this movie that it could be discussed, but we're not going to discuss it, and that's fine.
This episode is brought to you by TurboTax. TurboTax experts make all your moves count. Filing with 100% accuracy and getting your max refund guaranteed. So whether you started a podcast like this one, side hustled your way to concert tickets, or quit your job to stream video games online full-time, switch to TurboTax and make your moves count. See guarantee details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
So let us move on to what did we watch this week. I'll start off because my what did I watch this week is kind of in the same vein as Forbidden Zone, in the sense that I watched another movie that could be argued as being racist as shit. I watched, for Weird Ass Movie Night, The FP.
Yes.
Yeah. Woo, J-Tro.
You would have told me to watch that. That would have made my week better.
Which,
And if there's no homeless people, then who the fuck's going to feed the ducks?
what the fuck's a town with no ducks, J-Tro? Yeah, that movie is so overwhelming with how many great lines of dialogue are in it. It's just that most of those lines of dialogue contain the N-word and are said by an all-white cast. So,
Yeah. But I guess that doesn't strike me as quite as disturbingly racist as Forbidden Zone, because it's more like it makes sense in the FP because it's how everybody talks, like street style.
Yeah.
And so it's not like it's like the N-word is punctuation.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like I can't quote anything from it, obviously. I would never quote anything from it, or not fully quote it. I'll quote everything but the N-word.
Yeah.
But and it does make it the 1.5 times I've watched that movie. It has made me moderately uncomfortable the amount of times the word comes up. But I guess I can see it like in story making more sense and being less racist. That's all. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's the real star of that movie, though, is L-Dub-E, who is just stealing the show every single time that he comes on screen and says anything.
Yeah.
My favorite of any of his lines, I think, is either "Who dares interrupt me while I'm ghost riding my whip?" or "What are you going to be for Halloween? A bitch?"
I guess I love the ghost ride my whip comment better because it's so much more absurd to equate what's happening in the FP to Romeo and Juliet, which is just amazing. Like, that movie has so many great layers, and it's so funny.
So, but that's all I watched this week. How about you guys?
Well, Adam,
I watched
because I watched nothing. This movie killed watching movies this week for me.
I didn't really watch much. I watched the entire 3rd season of Drunk History, which is, I don't know, I like that show, but it's really hit or miss. Like,
my problem with that show is the fact that the guy that's the host, over the course of the seasons, is it 2 seasons or 3 seasons in?
3 seasons now.
But like, if you go back and watch the first couple episodes, he's barely in them. He's really just there to facilitate and laugh. And now he's the star of the show. It's weird.
Yeah,
like, got a really big ego.
It's weird. He's in every sketch too, and at the end of every episode where it runs through like who is starring in that sketch, he always includes himself in there and gives himself like an extra credit at the end. And I'm like, you're in every fucking episode, man. We know who you are and what you look like. You don't need to give yourself credit like that. Like, but my issue with the show is that every episode will contain a part where they're telling the story, but then they're like, I'm too drunk. Oh, I just can't do it, man. Okay, all right, okay. It's like once per episode that happens. I'm like, just tell me the fucking story. Get to it. Fuck.
I've never watched any Drunk History.
Like I said, it's really hit or miss. Like, they'll get a lot of like celebrities on there. Like, you'll get Colin Hanks on there, and you get like Johnny Knoxville, you get like David Koechner, and fucking like all these people will be on it. But depending on the story and how well the person tells it, it could be real awesome and funny, or just totally flat.
Yeah, so I guess that is all we need to say about that. I one day I'll check it. I'm sure Colin Hanks is very excited that you refer to him as a celebrity. Because I think most of the world's just like, oh, that guy from Orange County.
Yeah. Tom Hanks' son. I don't know his first name.
That was Forbidden Zone from 1980, as picked by me and hated on by everyone else. So, you know what? Yeah, still send us your suggestions. But guys, much like on Space Invaders, where none of you came to my defense, I'm going to need some of you guys to come to my defense today. Come on, send us an email at hmnpodcast@gmail.com. Tell me that you like this movie. Make me not feel like I'm the only horrible person in this world that enjoys this film. Please, please. My life sucks, please. I need this.
I can literally just picture somebody like, "Dear Horror Movie Night, is Matt a racist?" Yes. Signed, Chris.
Fan mail, Chris.
Yeah, fan mail, Chris.
No longer fan mail, Chris.
Yeah, former fan mail, Chris. Yeah, but shoot us an email. Tell us what movies you'd like us to watch. I will do everything in my power to make up for this movie in my future picks. I think I have 2 good ones lined up. They're both slashers, spoiler alert. So that's what we got coming soon. Don't forget to check us out, rate and review us, and follow us on SoundCloud and iTunes and all that good jazz. Thanks for listening, guys.
Okay.
You're the guys who say it more than I do. I just say that we get good numbers with my episodes, and I still think we're going to get good numbers on this one.
Yeah, calm down. Don't break your arm jerking yourself off there, man.
Yeah, at least he's saying
you know what? You guys say...
Turn into Beavis and Butthead on the phone.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.